Hello and welcome to the Leeds That Podcast. I'm James and I'm with Rocco Dean.
Hello.
And Darragh Cunningham.
Hello there.
Well, it finished 1-1 against West Brom at Elland Road. Disappointing. We did say not to get carried away. I think we put it on Twitter and we talked about it last week. And we'll delve into all that after we've talked about Bass and Bligh, sponsors of the podcast. Rocco, just say Pentax. Let's get it out of the way.
No, it's okay. Spotting scopes, lenses, all state of the art. Use Bass and Bligh and Harrogate, and you'll be very smart.
Yeah. What would you use them for, Rocco? You'd be smart if you use them, but why would you use them?
Pentax. You'd use them for Pentax.
So, Bass and Bligh, if you're new to the podcast or watching us on YouTube, are our sponsors. They are at www or just bassandbligh.com, and they sell the very best in binoculars, spotting scopes, cameras, all sorts of gear. They sell used equipment as well. They have a lot in the range from Fuji, Zeiss, Sony, Nikon, as you said, some brilliant lenses. You get a full warranty on any used equipment as well. And they do have an offer at the moment. There's a little pop-up on the website. If you go sign up, you get £10 off any used products when you spend over £100.
And we are so lucky that Justin is our mate, particularly your mate, lifelong mate, because no one else would want this sort of bull crap.
What do you mean? This is like peak advertising. No, I'm insulted. Thanks so much, Justin, and the team there. But yeah, make sure you go to bassandbligh.com, or if you're in Harrogate, 6 Beulah Street, just around the corner from the famous tea shop, whatever it's called. We're not giving them free sponsorship. Right. So yeah, very disappointing. Farker in the press conference did say these are the sort of the hardest games when you've had two games back to back that were intense and massive wins. That they're I can't remember how he phrased it, but it's hard to sort of G up the team for what is a tough game against someone like West Brom. And Tony Mowbray's been doing really well. No.
I'll just stop you there. When did you become French? It's hard to G up the team.
I think that slipped me by.
I'm in the presence of Rocco as a European man. He is an Italian man. I feel like I have to step it up somewhere. And maybe that's just a little bit too far from the Irish accent. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Definitely. That's a step too far. G-ing up the team.
I didn't know what else to say. I'd lost the words.
Kick up the arse.
Yeah, they needed to kick up the arse. But yeah, Tony Mowbray's side were good. Like, Tony Mowbray plays open football. And I thought everyone was saying that we were poor, but I thought they actually defended. And, when they didn't have possession, were in a good, solid shape. So, disappointing. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so it was a flat afternoon all around. Atmosphere was pretty flat. Felt, when we were 1-0 up, it sort of felt end of season-y, really. I don't know. Did you get that sort of feeling as well? I don't know. It just felt all a bit low-key. Yeah, once they'd equalised, we really struggled. But just, we didn't get going. The fans didn't get going. And, I was pretty happy to take a point, pick that one off and crack on to the next one, really. It was one of those days which we've not had many of, to be fair. But, yeah, that was definitely one.
I'm relatively philosophical about it. I think,
as always.
Not always, but most of the time. I do try to be. I thought West Brom were the best team I've seen this season, to be honest. I don't think Sheffield United or Sunderland have given us a better game than they did. Experienced championship team. They knew they could come and disrupt us. They've seen championship results before. Every single one of them in that team has been responsible for a couple of weird results, whether it was in a great team that got beaten by a team they shouldn't have, or in a team that shouldn't have beaten a great team. They've seen it all before. Thought they defended very well. I think you're right, we were a little bit flat. I don't think it was a bad performance, just a little bit flat, which reasons actually I'll get into in a second. But I think that little bit of flatness was just enough for us to move the ball a little bit more slowly, maybe probe a little bit less, more side to side. It was very like the way we played last season, to be quite honest. And I think that being off at that 1 or 2% allowed for them to get into a low block, and we couldn't break them down because we didn't have that creativity, because we're missing that 1 or 2%. And then when they attacked in numbers, and they looked pretty good. I think one of the things to take into consideration is the fact we've had 2 late nights of football. So we've talked about circadian rhythm on here before. And if you think about it, like, you're coming off that pitch at Bramall Lane and you are not sleeping on Monday night, so Tuesdays are right off. Maybe some of the players get back into it a little bit with a nice sleep on a Tuesday, But then by Wednesday, you're still not 100%. You're certainly not match ready. So really then it's probably Thursday when your circadian rhythm kicks in and your normal kind of routine kicks in terms of when you're eating, when you sleep, and when you're training, recovery and everything else. So you kind of got Thursday, Friday, and then you're probably up at 6 in.the morning for a 12:30 kickoff because you got to get your pasta into you at 6 in.the morning to fuel the body, and you got to get your brain switched on. You got to do your pre-exercise training and all that. Tough ask physically to be up for that game 100%.
It's funny how these things come around, because when I first mentioned circadian rhythm, well, first of all, I called it circadian, and you did say I think it's circadian, and and then you're like, no, I don't think so. They're professional athletes, and now you're using it. What's all this about?
Yeah, but I think you were just wrong on that occasion. The
classic.
premise of what you were saying was correct. But no, listen, there's not a chance they slept on Monday night. Not a chance.
No.
If any of them got to sleep,
I barely
6 a.m.
slept.
Exactly. And you didn't have the adrenaline and all the lads. And because it was a Yorkshire derby, my guess is they probably went home after the game, which probably adds another hour or two onto their journey. Because if it's a game in London, they probably stay in a hotel 5 minutes from the venue, and at least they're back a little bit quicker. But because it was a Yorkshire derby, they probably wanted to go home to their families and all that. So I think all that contributes to a little bit of a flat performance. No big deal. And let's face it, it's 7 points out of 9 against a team who are 2nd, 4th and 5th. That's brilliant. Like, take it like that. That's absolutely fantastic results.
Rocco, you shared a good screenshot from somewhere. I can't remember whose it was. Was it the results against Yorkshire teams?
Yeah. 12, was it 12 unbeaten?
I think it's more than that, wasn't it? It looked like more. I didn't count it. But
yeah,
quite staggering, really. And it didn't have what the results against London teams were in there. But you did point out there's only 2 London sides in the in this league, which is
crazy.
It is crazy, really, isn't it?
Probably the reason we're top of the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a stat today. Did you? I hope one of you two saw it, because I can't really remember it. But haven't we got a terrible record for the early kickoffs? Haven't we won, like, I don't know. Did you see it?
I had this. I haven't seen it, but I had this in the back of my mind when we were talking about it in the last podcast. I thought, I am sure we've not had a good record in the early kickoffs. You know, I was going back to my circadian rhythm speech again, but yeah, and it was a good start to the game. Like it was good, and the atmosphere was good going in there. And but I just always felt we there's too many people that I think feel it's already won.
Oh yeah,
and it was a wake up call for a lot of people, I think, on the day, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It would be a bad thing if I think we'd lost, but yeah, and that's it. We'll see you next time. It's like draws and stuff are always hard to just talk through, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, we had.
I wanted to make a point that I feel very strongly about the starting lineup. This is the first time you've never asked about the starting lineup. It was one time I had something good to say.
He was just getting into it. He was just about to say
you cut me off, Rocco.
He just closed the podcast down. So obviously Rothwell came in for Gruev, which I'm sure everybody
felt like the right
agree
decision.
with.
Yeah,
of course, absolutely no question. And so the point I was going to make was, if we'd have played like that and he'd have selected Gruev instead of Rothwell, everybody, including me and us, we would have been convinced that if he'd have played Rothwell, we'd have played miles better. And it just goes to show that, you know, Farke's decisions don't dictate everything. The players have to go out and do it. So just wanted to make that point, because it annoys me so much when people just assume that everything would have been different if Farke would have done different decisions, when I don't think it's the case.
Yeah, you're right. And it's probably one of those ones where, in hindsight, you'd look at it and say, you could have rested Solomon, you could have rested Dan James. I always think you could rest Brendan Aronson because he was completely anonymous again. And at one point, he managed to control a ball 5 yards behind them to Dan James. So you've always got hindsight for that. But I mean, realistically, if he changes that team, given the form they're in, and circadian rhythm or not, you know, all the players in the squad will have suffered from that. And this is the team that beat Sunderland and Sheffield United. So
yeah,
I tell you, you can change it. Other than the Rothwell coming in, I don't think he could change it, because he would have got hammered. Had that performance been that.
I was just going to say, he would have got hammered by the fans if you'd swapped any of those players out, and we came away with the same result. So yeah, it is one of them, isn't it? But, you know, a man who keeps delivering the goods, well, two men, Dan James and Junior Firpo. Two questions. One, why was Firpo up there again? I don't remember why Dan James was on the left as well. It's like, up until I watched the highlights, I thought it was Solomon who played the ball-ins.
I think he's making a bit of a trademark of that type of cross, James, because even when he's on the right, he does it a lot. He cuts in and does it with his left foot, little clipped cross. It's an absolute beauty. Like, what a beautiful cross. And, Firpo capitalising on another terrible championship goalie mistake. No man's land again, and just to nod it in. Yeah, I don't know. It's like he's got a free roll, Firpo.
I think it was because Dan James was doing his job. I think that's why James was on the left. When they broke forward, he just went on a chase and he ended up at left back. So Firpo went, right, well, if you're a left back, I'll nip in. And then I think the ball went to Rothwell, and Rothwell played it into DJ, who, as you say, cut back and whipped it in. I mean, it was all about the delivery. He barely touched it. Firpo, it was a brilliant touch, in fairness, but he didn't have to do anything. He just had to get a touch on it. Absolutely brilliant cross. So that was the delivery. His end product is fantastic. And actually, as you mentioned, that the first chance of the game was on the opposite side, where he cut on his right over to his left, and he curled it past the post. Now it missed by about a yard, but the amount of curl he had on it, if he was a little bit further back, that could have gone in. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets one of them before the end of the season, because that was fantastic.
Horrible to go on, Rock.
Yeah, Darragh's nailed the Firpo pronunciation. I don't think I'll ever get it. I remember asking whether we'd ever say Peru, and Peru sounds stupid now, but I can't ever see myself saying Firpo. Can you,
Firpo.
James, as a Yorkshireman?
What do you say?
As a man who orders chicken gyros as gyros, I can safely say, I probably won't ever say Firpo.
Do you say Perlo or Perlo? The Yorkshire? Do you say the Yorkshire Perlo?
I say Calvin Phillips. Yeah, and I think you're right about that trademark crossing to the box from Dan James, and it is a talent to be able to do it with both feet as well. But they're horrible to deal with those sort of crosses for anyone. You know, I know you talk about the keeper there, Rocco, but just anything in swinging that's at that height, that's, I don't know, that they just feel awkward to deal with. Even from a defender's point of view, they're horrible as well, because you're running to catch the play, so you're turned away from being able to really head it out as well, aren't you? So, yeah, quality. And like you said about Dan James as well, I said to Adam next to me at the football, it's like, it must be so annoying when you feel like you've got to break a counter-attack, someone like West Brom, ping it over the top, and it's Dan James who's chasing back for it. It's like, that's annoying.
That did happen at one point, didn't it? Because it looked like a guy was going to get it. And I even sat back and like, it's all right, Dan James chased him.
Yeah.
He's never getting it.
It's just stupid how fast he is. It's ridiculous. What a guy. And what else happened in the first half? It's all a vague memory for me now.
They missed a very good chance with Johnson Swift.
Oh, yeah, crikey. God,
that ball looked like it was in, and then it just swerved around the post.
From where we were, it looked like it was going in, and it was only at the last second or so that it just span away. It was bizarre. Yeah, I couldn't believe that didn't go in.
Are we a bit... This is going to sound like the stupidest question in the world, right, because of our defensive record. Are we a bit crap at the back? Because, it seems to me that most teams come and just roll over, as Rocco said. They just come roll over, take their beating and leave. Or they put in a low block and they're hoping for a 1-0, which they don't get. But the teams who come and attack us do make plenty of chances. It's a bit weird for a team that has the defensive record we have, that when teams come and attack us, they make plenty of chances. Now, look, the only thing is, when they make plenty of chances, we get even more chances and we finish them. So it's not a great tactic. But are we a bit soft at the back? Because anyone who attacks us makes chances.
I think...
Go on, right.
Go on. All right. I was just going to... I think down the wings, because the fullbacks obviously push up so much. I remember the Cardiff game, for example, at 0-0. They kept getting in down the side of us. Well, not kept. They did it once or twice. Some problems come from there, don't they?
I'd say they're sort of half chances. Wilder made a good point after the Sheffield United game, and he did say, we had some attempts on goal, but really, were they full chances? Probably not. And I think that was the same for West Brom yesterday. There was some okay moments, but it wasn't like we were sort of peppered by decent shots. And I know Melia had to stop one quite low to him that bounced right in front of him in the second half, didn't he? But
the Adam Armstrong one was another one.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
one was that?
Armstrong threw 1-on-1. Right in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. He did well there.
Actually, that was a
Mellier.
funny one because I didn't know Armstrong had gone to them in
I
the
didn't.
January break. And I thought, why didn't we get him? Like, that would have been a lovely little January signing. And he tore us apart last season.
Yeah. Is he on the left? Have I got my...
No, he was up front. So, like, I
Who was
was
their
away
left winger?
for-
Because he was good.
Mikey Johnson, Irish player.
Yeah, he was very
He did
good.
look good, didn't he?
Yeah, very, very good. Sorry,
Yeah,
Rob.
I was away on transfer deadline day, but I'm sure I saw that we were after Armstrong. So yeah, I was quite. I literally like couldn't even believe it was him. I thought I was remembering wrong, and then when I saw him in the flesh, I was like, "Oh my god, it is actually him."
Yeah, I don't understand why we didn't go for him. Like, considering what he did to us last season, he'd have been a perfect player to just get in on loan and be a sub for Peru. And I have to say, though, that chance that was created, though, there was two good things about that chance. Mellier coming out and making a really good save was one thing. But if you watch it again, Armstrong drifts off stroke, and Bogle, just before the pass is played, Bogle sees him and goes to move to him. And that obviously puts him under a bit more pressure. And I thought Jaden Bogle gets a lot of stick for his defensive ability. Like, he's obviously excellent going forward, but people doubt his defensive ability. But I actually like that because you could just see how switched on he was. And it wasn't his man, but he was aware of the danger and he made his move towards it, albeit a second, not too slow, but as I say, it wasn't his man anyway.
Was that
Really
a sliding tackle on the edge of the box, that one? Or is that another one?
No, it's still the same Armstrong chance, but he was chasing in behind him, so
Sort of
Armstrong
helped
had to
him
smother
smother
it
it.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bogle did make a great challenge on the edge of the box, and you mistime that, and it's a penalty as well. So really
Yeah.
good challenge to back up your point there, Darragh, that I do think he's definitely improved. Well, we're still sort of judge him on the first few games he had for Leeds, which is unfair because he's just having such a good season now. And their goal came from a free kick given away by Pascal, wasn't it? How many yards out? Probably about 25 yards out. Deep to the back post. Just didn't do enough there. Bogle was sort of stranded with two players, didn't really know who
Can't
to mark
defend,
at
can
that
he?
point. No, terrible. Looping header, which my nephew was incredibly upset about.
Was it? Why?
Very upset. Well, he's 8 years old. He thinks Mellier should be saving everything. I think I said to him, Mellier is your scapegoat, isn't he? I don't think he knows what scapegoat means, but one day he will.
Was he in no man's land though? I'm not so sure. Like, was it a perfect header or was he in no man's land?
Nah, I think he was just covering his near post within reason. And yeah, great header by Paul Furlong's son. I have this thing where I like going through. Yeah, I go through the opposition and see if they've got any sons every week. I dig someone out, and this week it was Darnell Furlong, Paul Furlong's son, and they had a Hegem at the back, and I got really excited. But actually, even though he's born in the same town as Baggard Hegem, Liverpool right back from yesteryear, he's not related apparently. So there you go. But he was wearing number 14, the same squad number as Baggard Hegem, I think. So maybe he's a distant relation. But this isn't good content, is it?
I thought Furlong was good. Furlong was good though. I actually thought,
Yeah.
keep an eye on him for next season. He looked all right.
He spooned one out of play with his very first kick, and then after that, he was decent.
Speaking of player numbers, totally unrelated to Leeds or West Brom, but I saw on X a post from someone, and it was a player called Mambo for Ebbsfleet, and he's number 14, and they're like, why on earth haven't they had him as number 5? That's a fair point. Yeah, what else happened? Substitute. Well, we turned around, changed halves, didn't we? Started shooting the other way. That happened, and no subs were made early on. Were you expecting a sub? I was expecting a change like we did at Sheffield United, but it was a 70-minute again, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he did the same change. And yeah, we should talk about Joseph because I thought he looked good until he got injured, and then he was never really in the game again. But yeah, he did he had the chance, didn't he? Where he made it for himself, burst through. I think some people have been saying, yeah, it was a bit, yeah. Yeah, some people have said he should have squared it to Peru, but I'm sure that wasn't on. And I thought it was a great effort. Just yeah, really unlucky.
Yeah, I liked his directness. I really liked his directness. He looked like he had some intent about him on Saturday. Yeah, he just get the ball. He's like, right, I've got to run with this and see what happens. Give us more of that, Matteo, because if you do, I think you'll get your rewards.
Quite a lot of attempts like Joseph's where they got close to the goal and just lashed it. Dan James did that, didn't he?
Right at the end, yeah.
Tanaka did it at one point as well, and you just think...
He did kill Jason Malumbi with that shot, Tanaka. Smashed him right in the head.
Yeah. Was that Kyle Bartley at hit? Who was
no,
it
Malumbi.
Was it? Did Kyle Bartley get hit at one point? I'm sure I remember Kyle Bartley getting absolutely smashed.
But he didn't stay down. I think he thought about going down, but he didn't.
He got up like the Undertaker, didn't he? That must have hurt so much. Don't rub it. It's that classic thing, isn't it? Don't rub it. It's like, just stinging as it smashed you in the neck. I heard that Kyle Bartley the old tune came out in the South Stand as well, didn't it?
Never heard that. I wonder whether we might bring that out. Mowat got a good clap when he came over to take a corner as well. Nice to see him. Mowat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Slowett. He didn't look as slow as he used to.
No, it's all right. That's the thing as well. When I was searching for Suns through their team sheet, they had a lot of decent players, or players that have been decent at least, even on the bench. Callum Grant and Dean Garner, and basically a few players I've heard of, which is...
They're a good player.
Another Irishman, is he?
No, definitely not.
Well, DK. Funny. I thought you were that was like a nickname for someone.
No, DK.
That was so funny. So funny. Yeah, and the game sort of just petered out, didn't it? It didn't feel like we were having really good, clean-cut chances that a keeper was going to save. It was all like, like I say, the Dan James lashing one. I think it might have hit the post, and the keeper might have got a touch on it. No,
I just saw that. I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was everything. Everything we had a chance on was just they just get a toe on, or it'd be half a yard behind you, or as I said in Aronson's case, you play him through and he tries to control it and it goes 5 yards behind him. I think, actually, not to dig out Aronson too much, because I know people are just going to be like, oh, this guy just hates Aronson. We're going to dig him out a bit again, right? Like, I think his lack of contribution actually comes to the fore in situations like this, because if James is having a bad game, which if he didn't have a great game, Solomon might pick it up, or Peru might pick it up. If Peru's having a bad game, Solomon or James might pick it up. If Solomon's having a bad game, James or Peru might pick it up. At no point is Aronson picking it up. Like, they're supposed to be four.
He's a box crusher, though, apparently, Darragh.
Yeah, apparently he does a job in running in, but if the other 3 aren't on it, he just adds nothing.
That is the thing, is you can't sort of pinpoint one person. In previous weeks we've talked about, goal contributions. The last thing we've had, well, the thing we haven't had this season is just one goal scorer who's just scored everything. It's been a group of players that are scoring goals, and actually none of them did it on the day, which it happens every now and then. And West Brom are an all right side. They are an all right side. They can't.
That's why Aronson has to contribute, though.
Yeah.
If the main guys aren't doing it, he is the fourth of that attacking threat, and he's just not doing it.
He isn't that sort of player, though, is he, really? Because he hasn't got the assists or anything under his belt. So
assists.
Yeah, so he is the box crusher, but you can't crush any boxes when there's nothing really to be crushed. I don't know what I was going to say there. Anyway, who's your man of the match? Joe Road on tackle, by the way. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah. I've not seen the replay of that. It looks very weird from where I was.
He just fell over, didn't he? And then he was lucky not to smash through the guy. But
it was a bad touch by the other guy, and then he just at bad touch at the wrong time for him, right time for Road on. Fair play to Road on getting back with pace. He's got a bit of pace about him for a centre-back.
That's what I was going to say as well. He did well to just get back anyway. He got back far enough that when he fell over, he was in front of him. Had he not had the pace, he would just fallen through him. Would have been a right mess. God, I think he would have been sent off. Then we would have
when I was in the queue for fish and chips, got chatting to a Wolves fan, and he thinks we need like 8 players to compete in the Premier League if we go up next season. And I was thinking, what are you on about? Less than that.
10.
And then we turn in a performance like that, and we probably, you're thinking more like, I don't know, maybe he's got a point. But man of the match, God knows. They were all 6 out of 10, weren't they?
I'd probably say Rodon, to be honest. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, I think he should be a defender, all right. And Rodon was the best of
them. Yeah. Sure. Let's leave it at that. Joe Rodon.
Joe.
Good stuff. And I thought I'd quickly just touch on the game week 35, where we were at this point last season. So do you remember what we said last week, where we were?
Well, last week we were only 3 points ahead of this time last year, so I'm guessing we beat Millwall, did we? So we must be only 1 point ahead. Is that right?
So after week 35 last season, we were on 73 points. So we're still 3 points ahead. So that's pretty decent. And Leicester were on 78.
Ah, yeah.
Ipswich were on 75.
Huddersfield.
So, yeah. Points would have put us in second at this point last season. Not that any of this matters, does it? Crikey. But, I mean, we're 1 point ahead of... Are we 1 point ahead of Sheffield?
No, 3.
3 points.
3. Yeah, 3 points ahead.
We can still lose.
3 points and 20 goals or 25 goals or something.
Well, that's why I questioned it, because I think this is wrong on here. So that puts everything else into question now, doesn't it? It says that Sheffield United are on 75 points. Bravo. Anyway, still a few points clear of Burnley, which is great. They play on Tuesday night against Cardiff.
Which is not going to be easy after an FA Cup game.
No, it's not.
They got hammered.
Yeah, they did.
Cardiff have picked up a bit since they played us, and they seem to do pretty well at Villa Park. Lost 2-0 in the end, was it?
The one thing I was looking at is obviously that Sheffield United have got to play Burnley 3 games from the end of the season. But also, you mentioned it last week, Rocco, I think, about Coventry. And Coventry have got to play both of them as well. And you've got to think that by that point as well, I mean, they'll be up for it, won't they? Because I think for them, it's all about trying to get momentum going into the playoffs, if that's what they're aiming for. So, yeah, they've got some tricky games. I mean, they're all tricky games, aren't they? But I think that those 2 teams in particular have got some tough ones coming up.
No, I'd really, really, really want to win the league now. I like it.
Same,
obviously,
yeah.
I'd
That's why I was
second.
good yesterday. Yeah. That's mainly why I was disappointed. Even though there's a good gap between Burn, it's like I really want to win it because
Can you imagine Sheffield United overtaking us and winning the league? Like it would be embarrassing, to be fair. I'm really thankful for that Sunderland game that I missed. Now I'm finally pleased that we scored that 95th minute winner, because we might well need it.
Yeah, we might do.
Fairness, the game. If we're going to draw a game, West Brom is the one you want to draw, because we made sure that Sunderland got no points, that Sheffield United got no points, West Brom got 1. They're no danger to us. They're not catching us. So if it was going to be a draw, it's not the same as saying, oh well, we might as well have drawn against Sheffield United or Sunderland. It's not, because we stopped them getting any points. So yeah, I think if there's every game to draw, this was the right one.
There we go. Philosophical as always. Darragh. Thanks, Darragh. Portsmouth then, next Sunday, I believe.
12 o'clock, high noon.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Circadian rhythm after travelling all that way down. Not good, is it?
Well, they'll sleep, but they'll travel down the day before, won't they, and have a kip in a hotel.
It's probably a good thing. We're used to it now. We're already in that circadian rhythm.
Yeah, that's true actually. If you're going to have them back to back.
Yeah.
So we'll remember you said that.
But they have got they've got a very good home record. They're in the top half of the table in the home league table. So yeah.
But where are they in the overall table, Rocco?
Well, we don't know. We don't look at those sort of things. It doesn't matter because we're playing them away.
And also, when you say top half, you mean by 1 place?
I think they're 11th, yeah.
Yeah. So they are 17th at the minute.
They've got Matt Ritchie, and I don't think his dad was a pro, but I've heard of him, and he used to be
Shane
good.
Ritchie's son.
There's a guy at my school who used to be called Matt Ritchie. It's not him. I think he's a professor.
That's the most English name ever, isn't it?
I don't know. Matt Ritchie.
So,
lads, does Rothwell start away from home against Portsmouth?
For me, if I was the manager, think I'd probably... I hate saying it because I love Rothwell. I remember when we were talking about who would drop out for Ampadu, and it was Tanaka or Rothwell, and you said Rothwell. You said Rothwell, yeah, Darragh, and like I was a bit shocked.
Shell shocked.
I don't know. I just love Rothwell, but I think he probably has to drop out. I would play Gruev. I think, yeah, should go back to that one defensive, one flary midfielder.
That was one of the things that did worry me a little bit after the West Brom game was, no, is this the whole Ampadu thing? You know, is that why we couldn't get true grip on the game and be more positive? But I don't know. You can't read into that too much. What else? I was going to say something. Can't remember.
You're going to answer the question, weren't you?
What was the
I
question?
want to hear Darragh's answer as well.
Yeah, would you play Rothwell?
Oh, sorry, you were asking it. I thought you were making a statement. I would play Rothwell. Yeah, I think it was just an off day for a lot of them, and I think he feels a bit more progressive than Gruev. He seems to be able to just turn a lot quicker, and Gruev's maybe a little bit more sideways. So, but you play to your opponents, don't you? So it depends what we go up against Portsmouth as well.
There is always the option that you could rest Tanaka if you really wanted to go with the Gruev access in there. For me, Rothwell has to start. I think he has to start. I think his deliveries into the box add a dimension that no one else brings to the team, and obviously we've seen the fruits of that over the last few weeks. Even thinking about the game yesterday, Tanaka missed that ball at the back post from the corner. Just completely missed the ball. He could have just tapped it in. His driving, his passing, his availability for the ball, I think we need to sign him. I know I've had this conversation with a few people, and a lot of people say, no, we need something better. And my argument to that is the same argument I have every time. Is I think most people are judging him for the fact that his name is Joe Rothwell and not Ignacio Pirlo. So I think that goes against him. But also his history. The fact that he's a bit of a journeyman footballer. He's been on loan for 2 seasons now. I don't think anyone judging Joe Rothwell's performances on merit in a Leeds jersey honestly would say we don't need to sign him. He's been absolutely brilliant every single game. So for me, forget his previous career, forget the fact he's on loan. Some players just find a home in a certain club and they rise and they increase their level. And he's doing that because there's no way he's played like this previously, because if he was, he'd be playing in the Premier League. I think he's absolutely brilliant. So if he's doing that in a Leeds shirt, sign him. And let's keep him for as long as we can. But if we go up, we're going to need someone to put in set pieces, because you absolutely need set pieces in the Premier League. We're not going to break down every team that we face. And the other thing that everyone's forgetting, that we said at the start of the season, we might have to play a midfield 3. You could play Gruev, Tanaka and Rothwell in a midfield 3, particularly in an away game. Brendan Aronson could have a little rest and come on for the last 25 minutes. But that's not against the law. And that might be a brilliant midfield.
You found the method for getting Aronson out of this team, haven't you, Darragh?
A lot of people said it early doors, and now it might be the perfect time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as well, we'll ask the question before we go, but just to add to that point as well, that the whole squad needs to go up when you get in the Premier League. So even if Rothwell was kind of like bench, almost first team, you're still going to need it. So, I think there's levels, isn't there? And I think he'd be a good signing. But then you're going to need some more midfielders anyway, as well, as part of that of going up. But yeah, on that point then, after this week, game week 35, which all the stats might have, it's caused disarray because we don't know whether they're all accurate now. Do we think we're still promotion bound?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a question of first or second still. And I still think first. I think the quality will shine through, and I think we'll be better prepared mentally to finish the job this time.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ampadu missing is the only thing that gives me any form of doubt. But that doubt isn't dropping out of the top 2. That doubt is maybe not winning the league. Also, I don't think Burnley are going to get 90 points. I just think they're going to draw their way to about 85. I don't think they have it in them to win as many games as they're going to need to catch us. So unless the wheels completely come off, Leeds that times 100, I don't see how this team fails. We're a very good team. We're very good, honest bunch of players. A good manager.
God, I'm just sighing. You put it out in the open now. So was it your brother, your cousin, who said, Darragh, that Leeds that is not a thing anymore? And then it was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Steve said it. Yeah, Steve said it, and that immediately became a thing straight away.
That's right, yeah. Well, this is it. It's like, now you've done it. You brought Steve's curse to the front again.
Steve's juju.
Yeah, that's it. But well, Portsmouth, big game. They're all big games now, aren't they? Let's be honest. And let's see if we can break or keep the circadian rhythm. I don't know which one it is, break or keep. just go beat Portsmouth in Portsmouth at lunchtime, and then everyone will be happy. Yeah, hopefully we'll record pretty soon after that as well, and we'll have a podcast here this time next week. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for tuning in as always. Much appreciated. Cheers, Darragh. Cheers, Rocco. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.